It's always positive vibes. That's it. It's always just positivity and positive vibes. The f are you looking at? I'm sorry. Anyway, it's just positive vibes. Welcome back to NBSFN, my friends, your no bullshit fitness news, where we don't believe in political correctness. Do we, Rico? We just believe in facts, coffee, and deadlifts. We've got a hell of a woke episode for you tonight, starting off with a one-on-one exclusive interview with none other than Dr. Spencer Nadolsky, in which we take a deep dive into what some may call starvation mode. And Dr. Spencer graciously breaks down the myths and facts associated with it, so you know what's true and what's not. After that, we have a one-on-one interview with NBSFN's own Johnny Bag of Donuts. He is our gym correspondent, and he breaks down the top 3 deadlift tips to make sure you increase your deadlift strength while keeping your back safe and healthy in the process. After that, we have a pretty interesting interview with a self-proclaimed fitness Instagram influencer by the name of KENZIE Morgans. We discuss the ketogenic diet, the science behind it, and whether or not it's even worth your time. We wrap things up with a rapid-fire 2-minute Q&A with questions taken directly from my Instagram. If you don't follow me, you can do that right here. And without any further ado, what do you say we dive into the interview with Dr. Spencer Nadolsky? And joining us live from San Diego, California, we have none other than Dr. Spencer Nadolsky. How are you, Dr. Spencer?
Great on this fine night. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Dr. Spencer, is that all right if I call you Dr. Spencer?
Perfect.
Awesome, Dr. Spencer. Dr. Spencer, let's talk about starvation mode. And before we get into whether or not it's real, can you just tell us, what is this starvation mode? What is it? What does it actually mean?
Yeah, so I get a lot of patients that come in that say, I think I'm in starvation mode, or I get these questions. I know you get a lot of these questions in your DMs as well.
All the time.
Say, I think I'm in starvation mode. I'm cutting my calories, and I'm just simply not losing weight. I'm down to 800 calories, and if anything, I'm gaining weight.
I get that all the time. I'm eating 800 calories, 700 calories, I swear to God, and I'm not losing weight. What is this?
I have patients that are, upwards of 250, 300 pounds that are saying they're eating 1,200 calories. They must be in starvation mode. So the idea of starvation mode, and this is based on what they're saying, because this is all I know, basically what they're saying. We'll get into whether it's real or not, but this is based on their definition.
Okay.
Their definition of starvation mode is that their metabolism drops so low,
right,
down to however many calories that they believe that they're eating, which is around 800 to 1,000, 1,200 calories, and that they can't lose weight. And sometimes they even gain fat from this starvation mode because their metabolism is just kaput.
And have you heard that some people have said their personal trainers or even sometimes their nutritionists or nutrition coaches will say, like, you might not be eating enough, you might be in starvation mode. Have you heard that?
Pretty much 90% of my patients think, I think I'm not eating enough. And I'm sitting there, and I get obesity sensitivity training. I'm an obesity doctor, so you can't just say, yeah, you're 300 pounds. The problem is definitely not that you need to eat more. I promise you that. So no, 90% of patients say that.
So if it's not actually that they need to eat more, are you saying that starvation mode doesn't exist? Is it not real?
In the definition that they're talking about, that's not real. There are what's called metabolic adaptations, though.
Okay.
So there is something to it. Your metabolism will go down as you're losing weight and dieting.
Okay.
Your resting metabolism does decrease.
Your metabolism does drop when you lose weight.
What's that?
Your metabolism, it does reduce. It does drop when you lose weight.
I mean, so of course, as you lose body fat and sometimes muscle, regardless if it's body fat or muscle or just weight in general, your metabolism will go down. Okay. Now, the thing is, there can be more of a metabolic adaptation where the metabolism goes down further than what we would predict based on your next current body weight and given your muscle mass, even your lean mass and fat tissue. So even if you keep all your muscle as you're lifting weights, if you just lose fat, your metabolism can go down further than what is projected. The thing is, it's not It's not a ton. It's maybe like 10% more than what we'd expect. Not enough for people just completely stop losing weight at a low calorie.
So to clarify, when you're losing weight, when you're losing fat, your metabolism will drop. But even if it's more than expected, it's not enough to make it so that if you're eating in a calorie deficit, you still wouldn't lose fat. Is that correct?
That's correct. So
Got
yeah, the definition of a caloric deficit is taking in fewer calories than you're burning anyway. So when people say, I'm in a caloric deficit, but I'm not losing weight, it's like, well, then you're not in a caloric deficit. And yeah, you may have done a calculator. You're probably misinterpreting how much you're actually eating, that type of thing. Things that you talk about in your
So let me ask you this: when you have clients who have a lot of weight to lose, they have a relatively high body fat percentage, and they say, "I swear, I'm only eating 800 calories a day. I'm only eating 1,200 calories a day. I swear, I must be in starvation mode." What is actually going on? What are the most common things that happen? Why are they not actually losing weight?
There can be two scenarios. So in a lot of the patients, they've already lost 50, maybe 100 pounds, or maybe 30, it doesn't matter. They've lost some substantial amount of weight. We'd call it clinically relevant, over 10% of their weight. We'll say 30 to 50 pounds. There becomes a point where the perceived effort that they're putting in is increasing exponentially because their appetite is really high, so they're really hungry. They think they're putting in a lot of effort, and also they're feeling tired, so they're not walking as much. So that non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, the NEAT, that goes down a lot to where they're not burning those calories there. Okay. So they're putting in a lot of effort, and they're just not getting that outcome that they're looking for. So that's one thing. Other people, when they feel like they're eating 1,200 calories and they haven't even lost that much weight, they just have no idea how much they're really eating. The most of the times you have to go through and go, look, did you actually weigh this? Do you know that you think that's sirloin, but that's actually like the fattiest meat. They're eating like a ribeye or something like that. They think they're eating like 4 ounces and it's like 12-ounce ribeye and sauces and all sorts of things.
So from my experience, what I've always found, and tell me if you agree, that most people, the people who tend to say, I'm in starvation mode, I know that I'm eating the right amount of calories, they tend to be under-calculating exactly how many they're eating. They tend to either not be weighing all their food. A lot of times on the weekends, they won't be tracking their food intake. So they're great during the week, but on the weekends, they don't really track their calories. A lot of times they might, I track all my foods, but then on the weekends, I might go to eat 2 or 3 times and they're not tracking those meals. And so what really gets them, from what I've seen, is that during the week they're so meticulous and so on point, and then on the weekend they let loose a little bit, and in their mind it's not that big of a deal because it's only a few meals, but it's enough where they're eating way more calories than they expect or that they think, and that's enough to sort of stalemate them where they are rather than allow them to keep losing fat. Is that something that you see consistently?
Yeah, the analogy is they're digging a hole each day of the week, and on the weekend they just kind of push a bunch of the dirt back in and they go, gosh, I'm not really getting anywhere. Very similar. And things you've talked about, the bites, licks, and tastes as well. So you have, you're cooking dinner. This is a common scenario. You're cooking dinner, you're cooking for kids are yelling in the background, whatever. And you have a little taste here and there, a little handful of chips. Those things will add up to 500 calories, sometimes more.
Easy.
And you don't even realize it. And you go, no, I'm sticking to my plan. It's like, well, you're not really though. And it's hard to do that because people they feel they're putting in a lot of effort, and they are. So it's not that we don't believe them. It's like, no, we believe you. It's just we have to figure this out together. Because I will say that I get metabolic cart testing on some patients. I try not to because it doesn't change the outcome or what we do. But some patients that swear, we get metabolic cart testing. It's like, no, your resting metabolism is exactly where we predict it would be.
And that's a great point where it's like, if you think you're in starvation mode and if you think that you're not losing as much weight as you should, go to a doctor, get a metabolic cart test, get your hormones checked. And if everything comes out where your thyroid is okay and your metabolism is okay, then it's actually good news because it just means that you're not calculating how many calories you think you're eating correctly, which a lot of people get really upset about that. They get discouraged. They're like, no, I swear to God I am, but they have these like licks, bites, and tastes where they're preparing meals. Or sometimes I had one client where they swore they were tracking everything, but they were having 2 coffees a day, every day, and a massive amount of cream in the coffee, to the point where it was several hundred calories of cream, and they didn't even think about it. Once they got that, boom, started on that downward trend. It's usually not a hormonal issue or not a starvation mode issue. It's usually just an error in tracking issue, and that's usually what I found. It sounds like you see the same thing.
Yeah, you know, I do extensive studies on my patients. You know, if there's a thyroid issue, I'm going to find it. If there's some other rare things out there that even still, you can still lose weight, even if you have some of these things too. So no, it's very common. I see it all the time.
And well, Dr. Spencer, I want to say thank you for joining us. It's one thing for me, a short, bald Jewish guy with a mustache, to say starvation mode doesn't exist. It's another thing for a doctor to say it. So thank you. I appreciate you joining us. It means the world to me. Where can people find you to get more information on your work?
My team is with Renaissance Periodization, so check them out. And then also check me out on Instagram, Dr. Nadolsky. Someone has Dr. Spencer, so screw them, whoever that is. Dr. Nadolsky, Nadolsky.
Screw you, whoever has Dr. Spencer. No, thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Spencer. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time. For those of you watching, do you agree or disagree with Dr. Spencer's analysis? Tell us in the comments below, because we want to continue the conversation and see what more we can glean from you and all of our viewers. Now we're going to go to Johnny Bag of Donuts and his 3 best deadlift tips.
What are you talking about? I told you over lunch, I'm chafed.
Johnny.
A little bit uncomfortable. If it bothers you, you can leave. I've been taking SoulCycle, which I love. Don't knock it till you try it. But my grundle's been screaming at me because it's rubbing on the seat, and it's just been chafing that. It's like that part is like an inch and a half right below.
You are lying.
Hold on one second. What's going on, Jordan? Hey, good to see you again, buddy. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk about deadlifts, because a lot of coaches way overcomplicating the deadlift. I want to give you 3 high performance tips to make it easier for you to lift more weight without snapping your spine directly out of your back. Let's get to it. Deadlift tip number 1, don't overcomplicate it. I know that's easier said than done, but please listen closely. I got to point to it, okay? So just to give you an example, we got a lot of these power lifters walking up to the bar, they're praising Jesus, doing the Macarena, maybe a little bit of haka action, 360 twist, burpee, boom, stamping the feet, then they deadlift. I'm like, what the f*** was that? Jesus, just lift the bar up, for Christ's sake. You got also these other coaches who are like really into the science and anatomy and physiology, like, hey, Gerald, what I want you to do is anteriorly tilt your pelvis while you're also breathing through your eyeballs, and don't make sure your big toe is not internally rotated. I'm like, Jesus, just tell them how to lift the fucking weight. When you're deadlifting, simple as this. Feel the steel, get right up close to the bar, send your butt to the wall behind you, grab it, stand up. Simple as that. I want you to think of the deadlift like you're lifting up groceries. You're not walking up to your bag of groceries like, okay, we got cauliflower in this one, a jug of milk in this one, how am I gonna do this? No, you get down, you grab them, and you stand up. Simple as that. Same with the deadlift. Butt to the wall behind you, grab the bar, drive through your heels, stand up. That's deadlift tip number 1. Deadlift tip number 2, I'm gonna show you how to get your back flat in the bottom position. I know a lot of coaches, they way overcomplicate this. They're like, listen, if your client can't get their back flat in the bottom position, clearly that means their right hip must be internally rotated and their hamstrings probably got food poisoning. So what you want to do, listen, here, it's very simple. You want to get your back flat, check this out. You walk up to the bar, send your butt back to the wall behind you, and if your back is flat, all I want you to do is show your nipples to the wall in front of you. Check this out. Rounded back, flat back. Rounded back, show your nipples to the wall. Simple as that. Last deadlift tip of the day, then I gotta scram, get some ointment, take care of this savage chafe that's going on. I'm gonna show you how to perfect you lock out. I don't know why people started doing this. I don't know when it happened or who suggested it, but for whatever reason, we see a lot of lifters, when they lock the bar out at the top position, they're doing this thing, where they're doing like the limbo. They get to the top, they're like, all right. I'm like, that's a smart idea. Let's fucking bend your spine backwards with a loaded bar in your hands. Listen, let's simplify it. Are you lifting up are you lifting up your grocery bags like this? Are you standing up out of a chair like this? Are you hitting it from behind like this? I really hope not, for both your sakes. Listen, all you gotta do, you're in the bottom position, stand up. Squeeze your butt cheeks, make them nice and firm, but squeezing your butt cheeks doesn't mean arching your spine back like you're doing the fucking limbo. It's ridiculous, okay? Here, down, stand up, squeeze your ass. That's it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, if you got any more questions about techniques, leave them in the comments below. Jordan, I appreciate it. I really gotta get out of here. This chafe is destroying me. I'll see you later. Hey, you got some ointment? You got some ointment?
Well, Johnny, thank you very much for the surprisingly helpful deadlift tips and also for the disturbing visual of your chafed grundle. Hopefully you get that ointment soon. Moving on, we have a one-on-one interview with none other than a self-proclaimed fitness Instagram influencer. Whatever the fuck that means, I couldn't tell you. KENZIE Morgans. We're discussing the ketogenic diet tonight. KENZIE, how are you?
Oh my God, Jordan, can I just say, I've been a fan of yours and NBSFN and Johnny Bag of Donuts since I was a little girl. So to be here right now, speaking directly with you, it's pretty surreal. And I'm just so grateful. So in response to your question, what I always say when anyone asks me, how are you? It's always positive vibes. That's it. It's always just positivity and positive vibes. The f are you looking at? I'm sorry. It's just positive vibes. So I'm always positive. It's always good. Nothing gets to me. And that's that. And I'm glad to be here. How are you?
Well, KENZIE, you do certainly have something special about you, and your positive vibes are nothing short of terrifying. We're super happy to have you on tonight. And before we get into the science of the ketogenic diet, would you mind just telling us what makes you an expert in fitness?
Oh my God, I am so glad you asked, because there are so many not qualified people out there saying they're personal trainers, so I'm happy to give you my qualifications. Basically, I joined Instagram back in 2017. Basically, every time I posted a picture, there were all these people saying like, oh my God, I love your body. How do I get your body? What do you do for your butt? You're just perfect. You are literally, girl, like perfect. So I always just like accepted it and just was like, okay, you know, it's just like people being nice. And so anyway, about 2 weeks ago, my mom said, you know, KENZIE, you should try being a personal trainer. And I was like, Mom, that's like your first good idea ever. What I did was I went into my Instagram bio and hit edit profile, and I typed in personal trainer. So ever since then, I've been a personal trainer. And here we are.
Well, KENZIE, I must admit, your breadth of experience as a qualified coach in the fitness industry is nothing short of underwhelming, albeit par for the course for Instagram coaches these days. Regardless, let's get into the ketogenic diet. You promote it a lot on your Instagram page, and you say it's optimal for fat loss. Would you mind telling us what the ketogenic diet is and how you use it?
Oh my God, Jordan, let me just say the keto diet literally saved my life. Basically, my best friend, Courtney, she has an older brother named Dave, and he's like super hot. He's always in the gym and he's always doing these like nutrition things. And so he told me that he does the ketogenic diet because it's better for fat burning. And I was like, Dave, why? And he was like, listen, because carbs make you fat. And I was like, Dave, why do carbs make you fat? And he was like, listen, basically there's this thing called insulin, which is, you know, a hormone, obviously. And basically when you spike insulin in your body, you can't burn fat. And so all carbs spike insulin, including, who knew, fruit. So don't eat fruit. You're not on the ketogenic if you're eating fruit, no. So basically fruit will make you fat, any carbs make you fat.
I'm sorry, KENZIE, just want to clarify, did you just say fruit makes you fat?
Yes, but hold on, let me just finish first. This is seriously big. Then I noticed that Dave was putting butter in his coffee, and just like this kind of butter, which was crazy to me because I was like, butter in your coffee? It's like, seems crazy. But he was like, he swears that this is how you burn fat from the very moment you wake up. You just put a lot of butter in your coffee. And I was like, wow, I'll try that. But so here's the thing. Here's my little twist on the ketogenic diet. I don't like coffee, nor do I like real butter. So what I do is I take my sparkling water, right? And then I take spray butter. And what I do every morning, and that is how I stay optimized for fat burning. Because see these bubbles, the gaseous fat, it's called triglycerides, okay? So it's like science names. The gaseous triglycerides are better for burning fat inside your body, better than liquid triglycerides and solid triglycerides. So I just do this, 27 squirts every morning, and this is how I optimize my body for fat loss.
Quite frankly, Kenzie, I feel as though all of us are now dumber for having listened to what you just said, but let's just keep the conversation going. I'm a little bit confused because as research has shown, and we're going to put the links to these articles in the description of this video, insulin is not only spiked by carbohydrates. And so if the whole thesis of the ketogenic diet is to avoid carbs to avoid an insulin spike, it doesn't make sense to me because protein spikes insulin as well. And a huge part of the ketogenic diet, if I'm not mistaken, is a higher protein diet. So you're sort of losing me on this one. Why would carbs be bad because it spikes insulin, but protein wouldn't be bad even though that spikes insulin as well? I'm just a little bit confused.
So we could for sure debate the science all day, right? We could always debate back and forth who's right, who's wrong. Basically, I have just a couple things to say. Number one, do not forget positive vibes, Jordan. It is very unbecoming of you when you're not positive. That's number one. Number two, you have to remember my friend Courtney, her older brother is Dave, super hot, and he tells me that it works. If he says it, clearly he looks that good, there's obviously something to it. Finally, I just really want to emphasize the positivity vibes. That's what it all matters about.
Well, Kenzie, I think I speak for everyone here at NBSFN when I say we all appreciate your positive vibes, regardless of how terrifying they are. But let me give you my 2 cents on the ketogenic diet. First and foremost, and this is the most important, I have no issues with it. If you enjoy it, if it's sustainable for you, and you're seeing consistent progress with it, do it. Absolutely 100% do it. My issues with the ketogenic diet are twofold. First and foremost, the demonization of any food is irresponsible, and disingenuous. There is no such thing as a good or bad food. Food has no morality to it. And to say that one food is inherently good or bad is not only wrong, but it's dangerous. Number 2 is the scientific fact that regardless of what diet you follow, whether it's the ketogenic diet, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's carb cycling, whether it's high carb, low carb, no carb, whether it's the South Beach diet, Weight Watchers, whatever it is, it does not matter as long as you are in a calorie deficit. Because you can't lose fat if you aren't in one. And anybody who says otherwise is either lying, ignorant, or trying to sell you something. That's how it works. If you enjoy the ketogenic diet, it makes you feel good, and it's sustainable, do it. But to everyone out there who is dogmatically saying carbohydrates are bad and you will not be able to lose fat without doing keto, you are not only wrong, you are hurting people. So please, in the name of everybody, helping everybody achieve their goals, don't spread dogmatic lies. Find what works for you and stick with that.
Oh my God, this was such a pleasure. And just 2 things. Number 1, Jordan, thank you so much for having me on NBSFN. This is a dream come true for a girl like me. And number 2 is I just released my lean and toned and tight and lean and long and curvy guide. I just want you to know that if you order right now, it's only gonna be $27.99 for 5 easy installments of $27.99.
That's all we have time for, Kenzie. Thank you so much. Let's get into the rapid fire 2-minute Q&A. And per usual for the 2-minute drill, we've got the questions from my Instagram poll already pulled up. If you don't follow me, you can do that right here. Ask me questions you want for the next poll. Rico's gonna put 120 seconds on the clock right here. We're gonna dive into it in 3, 2, 1. Do you think it's better to weigh your food raw or cooked? Is there a big difference? Yes, there is a big difference, and you want to weigh your food raw before you cook it, because after you cook it, you lose a lot of water weight, which gives you different results. So weigh it raw before you cook it for the most consistent measurement. Let's see, what made you decide to give up alcohol for a year? Do you have any tips on giving it up? This was a joint decision I made with my girlfriend, mainly because we realized, number 1, drinking didn't make us feel good, and we were only doing it in social situations for other people because they were doing it. And then we realized, why would we do that for other people if it doesn't make us feel good? So we use each other for accountability and we feel much better for it. So if you want some tips on how to do it, try and find some accountability. Let's see, what is the best way to add cardio as a powerlifter? Well, you know, this is an interesting question, and there's no best or right or wrong way per se, but as a powerlifter, your main focus is to get as strong as possible. And so you don't want to be doing too much high intensity sprinting because that can be a little bit too too fatiguing, too stressful on your nervous system, even your muscular system. So a little bit of sprinting, higher intensity work is okay, but you also want to balance that with some lower intensity, longer duration, not like jogging per se, but sometimes just walking, biking, swimming, a little bit of both, really get the best of both worlds. Let's see, can you please put the fat does not make you fat debate to rest, please? Absolutely. Fat does not make you fat. The only way to gain fat is to be in a caloric surplus, in the same way the only way to lose fat is to be in a calorie deficit. Let's see, wedding ring. No, this is not a wedding ring. I've had this since I was 18. It's a prayer. Let's see, is red meat that bad for you? No, actually red meat is not bad for you at all. If you decide to eat it, great. If you decide not to eat it, that's great too, but it's definitely not inherently bad for you. How many times a week do you do cardio? Currently, anywhere between 2 to 3, but that'll change depending on the phase. And that, my friends, is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you don't already. Leave a comment telling us what you think, good or bad. Constructive is always great. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Rico, for being behind the camera, for editing this tremendously well. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week on NBSFN's No Bullshit Fitness News.
Boom. What?
Not yet. Go ahead.
No, I told you, I'm chafed. Woo! What'd you say? Oh my God, I'm so glad you asked. Hold on. Oh my God, I am so glad you asked because, ready?
Been ready.
Don't say that. Worst comes to worst, we have the other intro, but I think this is gonna be funny.